guys, welcome back everybody to my channel. My name is Laura and I'm an attorney working for a court in Switzerland. Today's topic is going to be your first consultation with an attorney. We're going to talk about what you should know, how you can prepare and what to look out for. Even though the advice I'm going to share with you today is going to be particularly important for your very first meeting with an attorney, there certainly won't be any harm if you use it again for any follow-up meetings. Step number one is going to be the first contact with your attorney, and this is often done over the phone or by an email. Most people tend to feel more comfortable with a phone call because it is a little bit more personal. You can quickly explain the legal situation that you're in or the problem that you need help with. Now, what I would recommend you here is to try to really break down your problem. And this can be a bit tricky because often when you are in need of an attorney, you might feel stressed or anxious or nervous. However, try to be as precise and as clear as possible when you explain the legal situation that you need help with. And if you have the time, I would recommend you to quickly take a few minutes before you dial the number or before you send out an email to write down what you would like to say. You have to bear in mind that the attorney you contacted may not have the necessary capacities to take on you as a new client or to take on your case. Another potential problem for an attorney can be very quick deadlines. Depending what legal situation you're in, your attorney may have to act really fast because he needs to file a lawsuit or to contact the opponent party to prevent them from filing a lawsuit against you, or just in general because there is a legal deadline that is about to expire. If this is the case, most likely he or she will recommend you a colleague of theirs who has the necessary capacities and will hopefully be able to help you. However, whether you follow this recommendation or not is entirely your decision because it's up to you and only you to decide who you're going to work with and who's going to defend your best interests in the future. Once you found the right attorney for you, you'll be able to ask some first questions and schedule a first meeting. Now the next step, number 2, is going to be the preparation of your visit. And there's a few points that I would like to mention here because there is a few options that you have to save some money on your first appointment. Before the first meeting, most likely you will already have explained the legal situation that you're in or the issue that you have to your attorney, and he or she may have asked you some additional questions. In addition to that, they should also have let you know what documents, or even better copy of documents, that you will need to bring to that first meeting, or that you have to send them in advance before the meeting so they can actually look at them and analyze the legal situation before the meeting. At this point, I would recommend you in general to always have one or several copies of all the important documentation of your case, just in case something gets lost, whether this is with you or in the mail or in any other way. It is always good to have a backup plan. Another thing I would like to heavily recommend you is to keep your documents neatly organized and in order because they are a lot easier to work with. If you haven't done this yourself, your attorney will of course do this for you, but the problem with this is that with any attorney work, time equals money, and the easier you make work for your attorney, the cheaper your bill is going to be in the end. So remember, for that first meeting, hand in all the information and documentation that you think is important to your case or that your attorney told you to hand in. The problem if you don't do this is that there's going to be a delay in your consultation and there's going to be further emails or further phone calls with questions from both sides, and this is just going to cost you a lot of extra money that doesn't need to be spent. So remember, have your documents ready and in order. Before your first meeting, I would also recommend you to write down all the questions that you have because you might feel nervous and you want to make sure that you don't forget to ask any of your questions. Because if you do so, you're going to have the same issue again. You're going to have to make another phone call, write another email, and it's going to be you who has to pay more money in the end. Some other points for this very first meeting are the following. It is completely normal to feel a little nervous or a little anxious about your first consultation because depending what your legal issue is, there might be a lot at stake for you. However, I can tell you that this is completely normal and that many clients feel this way, so that's nothing to worry about. However, because you might feel that way, as I mentioned before, remember to write down the questions that you have in advance and make sure to bring a notebook or a notepad and a pen to also write down the advice that is given to you later on. Your first meeting is most likely going to take place in person, but it can of course also be a digital meeting. You're going to have the chance to ask all the additional questions that you have and answer questions that your attorney may have for you. After this, you will hopefully get the advice you've been looking for, or your attorney is going to explain you what further steps need to be taken now and why he or she thinks so. Another very important point that I would like to mention here to remember now and in any other time in the future is do not lie to your attorney. This is the worst thing you can do, trust me. It is much better to be as open and as transparent with your attorney as you possibly can and lay all the cards out there flat on the table, because your attorney is only going to be able to represent your interest as best as possible if he knows what the opponent party potentially has on you. A court hearing can be like fighting in the dark for your attorney if he has no idea what's coming at him, and this is definitely not what you want either. Another important factor is that you need to feel comfortable with your attorney at all time. The reason for that is because you're going to share very sensitive information with your attorney, such as like your work or family life details, your finances, or even your past criminal history. And for this reason, I think it is very important that you feel comfortable with your attorney and you feel like you can trust them at any time. And it is also very important that they take you serious at all times. It seems important to quickly mention the attorney-client privilege, which you may have heard of before. It basically means that all conversation that you have had with your attorney is going to be completely confidential unless you allow him or her to share that information with other people. And this principle actually starts with your first attorney visit itself. Unless you explicitly allow them to share this information, your attorney is not allowed to let anybody know that you contacted an attorney in the first place, who you contacted, when you did so, or for what reason. Finally, I would like to point out one more thing which might seem obvious, but it needs to be mentioned anyways, and that is that you need to be able to completely understand that legal advice that is given to you. So if you contact a legal professional or an attorney that does not speak your mother tongue, I very strongly recommend you to bring either a friend or a translator or a relative that can help you to understand all the information that is given to you. As I mentioned earlier, it seems also quite helpful if you take some notes during the consultation to help you remember it all correctly later on. However, you are not allowed to record the whole conversation with your attorney with a phone, for instance, unless he or she knows about it and explicitly allows you to do so. With that being said, I hope to have given you a good impression of how your first meeting with an attorney is gonna look like. And if you have any further questions, please let me know in the comment section down below and I'll make sure to get back to you. Also, if you like this video, I'd be very happy if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you would like to see more of this content in the future. That was it for me today, but I hope to get to talk to you again soon.